Hi everybody, Wendy from Cinnamon Sweet Shop. In this video, I'm going to show you how I make my classic apple crumb pie. Making the crust from scratch and all, it's really quite easy. And let's start with the pie crust. So for the pie crust, you're going to need some cold butter cubed, flour. I'm using an all-purpose. You could use a whole wheat pastry flour. I just find for the crust, just for it to come out perfect texture, I'm not really going to substitute much. A little bit of salt, apple cider vinegar. I do add cinnamon into it, and a little bit of sugar and some ice cold water. Now, all of the ingredients with the measurement are listed in the description box below the video. In a bowl, I am using a whisk. And by the way, this whisk, it's not your typical wire whisk. I like this one much better. It's so much easier to clean. I don't remember where I got it. I think I got it in either Michael's or Joann's. But if you see them, it's considered an old-fashioned whisk. Works really good. In the bowl, I do have my flour. I'm going to add in the sugar, pretty much most of the dry ingredients, the salt, the cinnamon. Give it a nice quick whisk around. Then I'm going to add in the butter. And I'm going to put the whisk down for a minute. So with clean hands, you're going to take your hands and the flour and you're kind of going to squish or rub the butter so that the flour and the dry ingredients get rubbed into it. It should break apart. It's going to take a little bit of time, but I'm kind of, as you can see, I'm rubbing the butter, smushing it into the flour, and you just want to do this until it's pretty much, there aren't really any large chunks of butter and the flour and the butter are somewhat well combined. So when it's done, it should look like some wet sand. If you see wet sand that kind of clumps up a little bit, this is what it should look like. Now, we are going to use a fork. I'm going to add in the apple cider vinegar and some ice cold water. I'm not going to add it all in. Just going to add enough. I kind of want to mix it around until it holds together. So your dough should hold together. It shouldn't be too sticky. If it's a little too sticky, you added a little too much water, just add a little more flour. If it's not holding together, just add a little bit of water at a time. So from here, I'm just going to roll it into a nice disc and wrap it up in some plastic. And refrigerate this for at least 1 hour. If you're going to make the pie the next day, you can refrigerate this overnight. Now I'm going to roll this out. And this week I got this really cool rolling mat. It's silicone. I got it from Costco for very inexpensive. Really a great idea because it has your measurements on the side here. We're going to roll this out to about 13 inches wide. And I do have a floured surface. So now I have this 13-inch around. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to fix up the edges anyway. So to move this, I'm going to just bring this up onto the rolling pin and then transfer it to my pan. Okay. And it should hang over a bit. So we're going to just play around with it, but not too much. It is fragile. I don't want it to break. And if it does break, you could just pat the areas together. I'm going to lightly press so I don't put any cuts in my dough. I'm using the knuckles because I don't want my fingernails to go into it. You could also use the palm of your hand. Do want this to hang over a little bit. And for this part, I'm going to cut some of the edges off. But I do want about an inch overhang because we are going to fold this underneath. So from here, I'm going to take this and just fold it underneath all around the pan. Cider is pretty forgiving. So if you do mess it up, first of all, nobody's really going to see it because the filling is going to be inside. This is a little bit long, so I am going to take a little bit more off of here. With the fork, I'm going to go around and flatten this. Now I'm going to refrigerate this again for at least an hour or overnight. While I'm waiting for the pie crust in the refrigerator to set, I am going to make the crumb topping. So I am using flour. Now I like oat flour, but I do have a mixture of oat and regular. I just think the oats give it kind of a nice little flavor there. Brown sugar, cinnamon, salt, butter softened to room temperature. Now, you can either combine this with your hands or you could do it with a fork. I'm going to opt to do it with the fork and just kind of smush, again, the butter into the dry ingredients until it comes out crumbly. Now, you could put this in the refrigerator until you're ready to use it. The ingredients to make the filling are sugar, granulated sugar, brown sugar, cinnamon, lemon juice, a little bit of salt, and melted butter, and of course your apples. I am using a combination of Granny Smith and Golden Delicious. I have them sliced in a bowl, and what you want to do is soak them a little bit into lemon juice with water so that they don't brown, and just combine these ingredients in there and then mix it real well. So give us a nice, good stir to make sure everything's well combined. Now I am going to pour in the apples into my pie crust. And then with your crumble topping, you're going to just crumble it across the pie, making sure it's evenly coated. And just press this down so that it kind of evens out a bit. Now I'm going to bake this for 30 minutes, 400-degree oven. Then I'm going to reduce the oven down to 350 and bake it for another 60 to 80 minutes until it's nice and brown. Be sure to smash that like button, share this video, and subscribe to this channel, and I will see you all next time.